Hello everyone, and welcome back to Isaiah for Latter-day Saints. Today we're going to be doing Isaiah 60, and today I am also peak nerd because I have a literal stand. It's like a music stand that I have this book propped up on, and it keeps the book open for you. I'm going to look at the book today while I'm doing this. The book is a book called from the Anchor Bible series that Yale does. It's Isaiah 56 through 66 by a guy named Joseph Blenkinsop. It's actually a very good summary of the issues. I can't get you all the nitty-gritty details of this because each thing would have to be 2 hours long if I did. But if you want more of this kind of thing, this one especially is good. There are some details that he doesn't get quite right, but a lot of it is very good. Some of the Deutero stuff is just not that great. People have missed crucial details with that. But this one he has on Trito is quite good. So I'm going to read through it, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So this is Isaiah 60. This actually seems to have comparatively little to do with what went before it. This is probably has been just separate speeches that have been put together somehow. And we got that back in Proto-Isaiah, right? We got that back with Isaiah himself way back in the early chapters. So that's not so weird. But that's what we're seeing here. So he says, so this has little to do with what comes before it. It says, "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But the Lord shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thine eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy son shall come from far, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear, and be enlarged, because of the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto the forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. The multitude of camels shall cover thee. The dromedaries of Midian and Ephah, all they from Sheba shall come. They'll bring gold and incense, and they'll show forth praises of the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. The rams of Nebaioth shall minister unto thee. They shall come up with acceptance on mine altar, and I will glorify the house of my God. Who are these that fly as a cloud, as the doves to their windows? Surely the isle shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee." So what are we dealing with here? "Arise, shine, for thy light is come." We have seen some light here. So thematically, this works with the notion of light and rising light that we got earlier. "Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon thee." So it's as though the sun is shining, but it's the glory of the Lord that's shining instead, and it's shining just there in Judah. "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people." Gross darkness is more like maybe deep gloom will cover the nations. "But the Lord will arise upon thee." He'll shine on you like the dawn, right? "And his glory shall be seen upon thee." His glory appears over you. So there's this idea of it's dark everywhere else, but Israel is this ray of light. Judah is this ray of light, and it's the Lord that's illuminating them. You're going to get a reference to this in Revelation when there is no light of sun or moon. It's just the Lord is the light of the sort of eschatological city, heavenly city of Jerusalem that you get there in the book of Revelation, and he may be drawing from this. Revelation may be drawing from this in Isaiah 60. "And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising." People will realize that everything's dark except for Judah, and the Gentiles, and even the kings of the Gentiles, will come to the brightness of thy rising, the brightness of the sun, in other words, that you see there in Jerusalem, this sun that isn't the sun that's coming from Jehovah instead. Lift up thine eyes round about, and see, all they gather themselves together, they come to thee. Thy son shall come from far, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. He says, look around and see. All these people that are still out there in Babylon, they're all going to gather themselves together. As thy son shall come from far, and thy daughter shall be nursed at thy side. All the people that have been left out there are going to come back. Now, of course, this is not going to happen. A lot of these people don't want to come back. But in a sort of symbolic way, eventually this is sort of going to happen as people eventually join the church, right? So that's sort of this interesting eschatological thing, where I think he probably wants it to happen in his lifetime, but of course that doesn't end up happening. Then thou shalt see and flow together, and thine heart shall fear and be enlarged, because the abundance of the sea shall be converted unto thee. The forces of the Gentiles shall come unto thee. Now, that's a little bit confusing. You could translate that as, when you see it, you will be radiant. Your heart will be so excited with this. The sea's abundance will all come to you. They'll bring you the wealth of nations. That's what this is about. So this is the notion of everybody is going to come together and bring you all of this stuff from all over the world, right? That's the idea. This is a little bit confusing. This is the multitudes of camels shall come. So he's talking about from the sea, right? All these ships from the sea are going to come to Israel through either, Eilat down in the south or the port of Joppa up in the north, and they're going to bring all this stuff up to Jerusalem. The multitude of camels shall cover thee, the dromedaries of Midian and Ephah. All they from Sheba shall come, they shall bring gold and incense, they shall show forth the praises of the Lord. Now, where are these places? Now, here it talks about Midian. Midian is down there in the south. So camels, they're talking about camels because these people are coming from the south, from places where you have to send camels all the way up in these long camel trade routes that stretch all the way from southern Arabia way up into the north. So saying these camels will come along the incense route way down there in the south, and they'll come up to you. So from Midian and Ephah, which is in sort of the northern Arabia area. Midian, you'll remember, is where Moses is from. That's sort of the northern Arabia fringe area, kind of into what we see as the southern east coast of the Mediterranean area, but pretty far south, basically into Arabia. Ephah is related to Midian. It's right there near that area. Sheba is even farther south from southern Arabia, maybe even the Horn of Africa area. But they will all bring gold and incense, because that's really what traveled that route, was incense. Incense can only really grow way, way down there on these plants, and they beat the plants, and it makes the sap, and then you scrape the sap off and get the incense. It's hugely expensive because everybody and their dog needs it for rituals, right? And so gold and incense is going to come up along this incense trail from the south, and they will show forth the praises of the Lord. So these people from all over, from the ocean, from across the ocean, from all the way down in Arabia, they're going to praise the Lord. All the flocks of Kedar shall be gathered together unto thee. Where is Kedar? Kedar is another place down there in the kind of northern Arabia area, almost into, like I said, into the area that we would think would be more like the southern Levant area, but it's that sort of fringe area. So it's a reasonable place to grow, to raise animals. It's not quite into the just open desert yet. So that's why he said the flocks of these places are going to come up, because that's a reasonable place to raise animals. And Nebaioth, the rams of Nebaioth, that's the same area. Roughly, it's sort of the Ishmaelite area, but it's, as you get really far south, it becomes hard to even graze animals. But in that area up in the north, you can't really sit down and raise crops, but you can at least take care of some animals there. So he's saying that from these places, all these people with their animals will come and bring tribute, basically, to Israel. They'll come bring all these gifts. And So they'll come up with acceptance on mine altar. So these people will bring their animals and actually sacrifice them on Jehovah's altar, that I will glorify the house of my glory. So people from all over the world will worship at the temple in Jerusalem. Who are these that fly as the cloud and as the doves to their windows? Or like doves to their dovecotes? Who are these that are it's the image of people like flying towards Israel like doves, like clouds fly through the air, or doves fly through their dovecotes. Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and gold with them, unto the name of the Lord thy God, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he hath glorified thee. So the isles, or the islands, or the coastlands, the vessels from the coastlands are waiting. Ships of Tarshish are in the lead. Tarshish, this is maybe Spain, maybe all the way over in Spain, something like that. It's actually hard to know where this is. Could be in Spain, could be in like Carthage or North Africa, we just don't know. But the idea is these people are coming from a long ways away to worship the Lord. That's the idea here. The ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and gold with them, to the name of the Lord thy God, to the Holy One of Israel. They're bringing their silver and gold, they're bringing from far away, and they're going to worship the Holy One of Israel, because he has glorified these people. These people have finally sort of come into their own, and these people are going to bring their children that have been scattered throughout the world back. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Their kings shall minister unto thee, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. So what are the sons of strangers? This is foreigners, in other words, will build up your walls. So remember, that was one of the issues here, is being able to build the wall. And they had opposition from the sons of strangers, from foreigners and from sort of semi-foreigners, for building the walls. But he's saying, no, these foreigners are going to come build your walls for you. Kings will minister unto you. And he says, in my wrath I smote thee, or in my wrath I struck you down, but in my favor I have had mercy on you. So, yeah, things are bad, but they're not always going to be bad. I've had mercy on you. Things are going to be better. So, and as we finish here, he says, therefore, thy gate shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, that kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come to thee, the fir tree and pine and box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I'll make the place of my feet glorious. The sons of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they'll call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Now here in verse 11 we get something really interesting, and that is the idea that people are not going to have to even close the gates. Therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not be shut day nor night. Usually you keep the gates open in the day, but you shut them at night to keep people out, or sometimes you have to shut them because of warfare. He's saying the gates are going to be open all the time, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, or really the goods of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. So the idea is that stuff from the Gentiles is going to be just streaming in day and night. Kings are going to be going in to Jerusalem, and they're just going to be bringing in all their stuff day and night. You're never going to be able to close the gates, because people are going to be continuously coming to Jerusalem and bringing their stuff. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish, yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Once again, very similar to what you get in the end of Zechariah that we read recently. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee. So all the kingdoms and nations that are not going to serve the Lord are going to perish. They're going to be destroyed. Everybody else is going to come up to Jerusalem. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree, the pine tree, and the box together, to beautify the place of my sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious. Now, why is he talking about these trees? So, the glory of Lebanon is just up to the north there. It is actually basically the same as today's Lebanon. And they had these excellent cedars. And that's actually what was really popular there, is to have these beautiful Lebanese cedar trees that they would you would come down and build things out of them, because cedar doesn't rot in the same way that other wood does. Cedar will last you a long time, and it's beautiful and it smells nice and everything. So they've got this excellent Lebanese cedar, and they're bringing them all down, and it says to beautify the place of my sanctuary. Just like the first temple, Solomon's temple, was built with this beautiful Lebanese cedar wood and other wood from up there, the forest of Lebanon. That's what he's saying is going to happen here. The place of his feet is going to be glorious. The place where his feet rests, the earth, the temple, that's sort of his footstool on earth, is going to be made of this beautiful wood from Lebanon. Now we go, well, they have forest out there? You got to remember that as you go, the Middle East, we think of the Middle East and we think of sand. That's not completely true. There are lots of places that are beautiful in the Middle East, and from south to north, you go from desert to forest. Northern Israel is very forested, and farther north in Lebanon is very, very forested. Legendary cedar trees that people from out in Babylon, the Babylon area, and the eastern part of the Fertile Crescent in Mesopotamia, what is Iraq today, there's legends of guys going out there to cut down cedar trees because they were just legendary. So we have to remember, we think of the Middle East and we think of sand. That's not true. Up there in Lebanon is a beautiful, lush forest. And they exported their wood, and it was a really important export for them. They also used this beautiful wood to make ships, and used these ships to go all over the Mediterranean and even probably out to the British Isles. They also probably circumnavigated Africa. They were busy people. And so that's what he's talking about here, this beautiful cedar wood and other wood from those forests that's going to be used in the construction of the new temple that they're building right now. And then he says, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So the sons of those that they've had so many problems with in the past, with the Babylonians, with the Assyrians, the sons of these people will come and bend down to them, bow down to them. And all the people that hated them formerly will come and bow themselves down at the soles of their feet. And this is also probably the sons, more close to home, of the Samaritans that have given them such a hard time. They're going to bow down, and they'll call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. So they will say, no, we were wrong. You guys are right. You guys got all this right all along. And this is the city of the Lord. This is the Zion, or the fortress, the dwelling place of the Holy One of Israel. So this beautiful reversal of these people that hated them so much are now going to come to love them. He says, whereas thou hast been forsaken and hated, so that no man went through thee, I will make thee an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. You had been abandoned. He says, instead of being abandoned and hated, unheeded, unnoticed by those passing by even, just this empty place that nobody even notices, I'll make you an object of pride forever. People will find joy in you for all generations. Rather than being this random backwater people don't even notice as they pass by, people are going to love Judah, they're going to love Jerusalem. And that's the image that we're getting here. So now let's finish here. Thou shalt also suck the milk of the Gentiles, and shalt suck the breast of kings. Thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. For brass I will bring gold, and for iron I will bring silver, and for wood brass, and for stones iron. I will also make thy officers peace, and thine exactors righteousness. Violence shall no more be heard in thy land, wasting nor destruction within thy borders, but thou shalt call thy walls salvation, and thy gates praise. The sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee, but the Lord shall be even unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. The sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself, for the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. The people also shall be all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. So what is this about sucking the milk of the Gentiles? The image here is of breastfeeding, obviously, but it's instead of just a regular baby breastfeeding on its mother, it says, just like a baby breastfeeds from its mother, you will be nourished by the Gentiles, and you will suck the breast of kings, that you will be supplied by the Gentiles, just like a baby is supplied by its mother for all the things that it needs. And that's the idea of this little tiny weak infant being nourished by its mother. Israel right now, Judah right now, is this little tiny weak nation. It's basically just Jerusalem, it's the area right around it, and it's going to find nourishment from the Gentiles. It says, and thou shalt know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. Because when this happens, you will know that Jehovah is your Savior and your Redeemer. He's saving you, and he's buying you back from slavery. He's the mighty one of Jacob. They will realize this when this happens. So for brass I will bring gold. Instead of brass, you're going to have gold. Instead of iron, you're going to have silver. Instead of wood, you're going to have brass. And instead of stones, you're going to have iron. Everything's going to be upgraded one. He says, I will also make thy officers peace and thy exactors righteousness. In other words, I assign peace as your overseer, and righteousness is now your taskmaster. You are not going to deal with this, just the grinding poverty and subjugation that you're dealing with right now. Like I said, it's not as bad to be under the Persians as it is to be under other foreign powers, but still they're under a foreign power. And they're in just this little, they're just struggling. Their town is this little kind of rundown town, Jerusalem, and they're struggling. And he said, it's not always going to be like that. As the sun shall be no more thy light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto thee. You're not going to get your light from the sun or the moon anymore. The Lord shall be unto thee an everlasting light, and thy God thy glory. So he's saying this eschatological idea, and once again we got this a little bit ago, and we get this at the end of the book of Revelation, that God, Jehovah, is going to be their light. He's the one that is going to be this light that draws everyone to them. And you won't need the natural light of the world anymore. You've got Jehovah now. The sun shall no more go down, neither shall thy moon withdraw itself. For the Lord shall be thine everlasting light, and the days of thy mourning shall be ended. So you do not have to be sad anymore. Jehovah is going to be your light. Everyone is going to see it. Everyone is going to come and gravitate towards you, and there's not going to be darkness and mourning anymore. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. So, you know what? Your people, righteous one and all the people will be righteous. They will possess the land for eternity. I planted you guys myself there. The branch of my planting, the shoot I planted myself, is going to grow up. And the work of my hands will grow up so that I will be glorified. You are not going to be disrupted anymore. You're not going to be pulled out of your land anymore. A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation, and I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time. It says, the least will become 1,000, and the youngest will become a large nation. I'm Jehovah. He says, when it's time for this, I will quickly bring it about, in other words. Now, once again, we have to say, this does not completely happen like this. Eventually, the Israelites, the people of Judah, are going to be scattered one more time. They're going to be scattered when the Romans destroy Jerusalem in 70 AD, and then once again, somewhere around 134-ish AD, 70 AD, and once again around 134-ish AD, they're going to be scattered again, and a lot of them are going to be killed. But there's always going to be a very, very small group that is sort of around somewhere, at least sort of nearby. And that maybe is what he has in mind here. But the idea is peace, a period of peace when their enemies are not going to be able to attack them anymore. Everything's going to be upgraded. the Gentiles are going to come in and bring all these beautiful things. They're going to bring all these people back too, and everything's going to be beautiful. There's this beautiful eschatological end of the world, the time when God finally makes everything okay kind of idea here. Once again, not unlike Zechariah. But this is a beautiful chapter, and it really gives hope, I think. Would have given hope to people living in circumstances that were not ideal. And I think for us too, chapters like this can give us hope when our lives are not ideal. That someday things are going to be better. I think that's what we're seeing here. Anyway, that's it for today. Good to be with you all, and we will see you guys next time.